So we're going to introduce our judges now. So let's...
Andy, this is, by the way, this is how this works. In the beginning I said to Andy, I'll just ask you a few questions, and he's been so great that now basically he runs the whole show. It's like, oh, now you want me to do this, and now you want me to do that? And what are you doing exactly, Bob? I'm just sitting up here smelling and tasting.
Actually, let me tell you the story of this. So I got asked to be a judge, and I was a judge on Thursday, and I had so much fun that and blabbed so much that they said, well, why don't we just give you a microphone and you can help out. But like you, obviously, I'm extremely interested in cooking and just love this kind of show, so I said, I'll for sure come back and help. I just like being around the cooks and watching how professional they are. The judges are extremely fortunate. The reason they're sitting down here right now is we're going to bring them back up on the stage just about 2 minutes before the appetizers are served. But the back of the stage is a very, very busy place right now, and we're going to explain a bit about the pantry in a few minutes. But for now, they're on the floor, and I'll introduce our head judge right now. This is Chef Ron Christian. Ron is the head of the culinary program at the College of New Caledonia. He actually trains a lot of young chefs on how to be great chefs. Ron, welcome back. How is the competition so far, and what are you looking for now that we're in the semi-finals with the pros?
From what I've seen so far, it's been great, but I expect to see more. I'm just watching them prepare over on Ryan's station over here. He's got a pastry there, and I believe he's making a dessert. I could be wrong.
You know what? I'm actually going to interrupt this. I want to talk to Chef Ryan here and see exactly what he's doing. This looks so unbelievable.
We're doing a little ravioli. We'll start with egg yolk, and I will tell you the rest.
Okay, so it's ravioli. He said he was bringing ricotta. I think there's a little bit of ricotta down there. An egg yolk. He's going to top the second half of the ravioli. They're going to make it into ravioli and, I'm assuming, boil it. When the egg yolk itself will get poached. And I will say one more thing, just while I have this opportunity. We just finished doing the final heat of the amateur division, and it was pretty great. But boy, when you get to these professional chefs, they are taking it up several levels. And that dessert is, I think that's a dessert. Could be an appetizer. That appetizer is just an example of the level of professionalism and creativity that we're seeing here right now. That's pretty amazing.
Bob, that is incredibly difficult to make, I believe, is it not? Because it's the stunt is to not break the egg yolks, among other problems.
Yep, and that's why, by the way, they're preparing 5 of these. In case one of these goes awry, they will still have 4 perfect raviolis to serve to the judges.
Unbelievable in the amount of time, and look at that, the clock's ticking really quickly already. It's not that long before they have to serve the first dish. Now, just a couple of minutes ago, Shelley was sitting in the audience, looking forward to enjoying the show. How do you feel now that you're not only a judge, but your vote actually counts? You will be scoring, and your vote absolutely will be part of the score.
Oh, I'm very, it almost feels like winning the lottery. I've been at pretty much all of the competitions up to this point, and I've really enjoyed watching from there, but I'm very, very excited to be going up there.
Excellent. And,
Andy, I'm just going to point out here, I'm watching Chef Chris dice these bell peppers with a razor-sharp blade and wild abandon, and these chefs all make it look so easy, but in truth, yesterday, one of the sous chefs cut the end of their finger with a serrated knife. It wasn't pretty. And but instead of crying over spilled blood, she just went over, washed it off very quickly. Andrea gave her a bandage, and within 60 seconds she was back up here. But as professional as these guys are, there's so much happening that the blood could flow at any moment now.
Let's introduce Carol from Save On Foods. So again, Save On Foods, a huge sponsor, in fact, the sponsor for this event. Thank you. Carol, how does it, all of these ingredients are things you normally see on the shelves and sell. How does it feel to be here watching these professional chefs work miracles with the ingredients?
It's pretty exciting, and a little scary.
Are you a cook yourself?
Not much of it. My daughter's getting to be one.
Excellent. We have an extremely special guest here. In fact, I guarantee this is the oldest person in the room. In fact, I think he can probably tell us how old he is, but visiting us from Barkerville is Billy Barker himself. Welcome, Billy.
I'm very happy to be here. This is amazing.
And we might also say the name Andrew Hamilton, but really this is Billy Barker from Barkerville. Billy, you were part of the earlier contests. What struck you as the most surprise from somebody from your position with the food that you were sampling?
I'll just basically mention because it's some of the creations that are last minute risks like it. It's beautiful. Well, I have to say some of the combinations of flavors is astounding.
By the way, I learned earlier Billy is 197 years old.
You're looking marvelous. It's a good lifestyle.
But his palate is still fresh, young, and vibrant.
Let's just talk. Yeah, just briefly say that. What do you know? That many years ago, what would normally be your normal diet?
Basically, the people up there, you would have had beef, but there's very little vegetable because it's such a short growing season. For the most part, people ate beans and cured meats.
Beans and bacon. That actually sounds pretty good.
Washed down with copious amounts of whiskey, no doubt. If you're lucky, it's whiskey. You know, back in the old days, this is a true story. The reason they drank so much whiskey and beer was it was the only safe liquid to drink. The water system was not pure enough. I want to just take a minute and go back and look at this pantry that Save-On has provided us with. In addition to the 3 ingredients that the chefs have to use, there's a very full pantry back here that they can pull from at will. And we're just going to take a look at that so you have a sense of what they have at their disposal. A whole array of vegetables, from cauliflower, potatoes, carrots, zucchini, some different types of greens, tomatoes, a few fruits, all sorts of different types of rice and grains, some oats and whatnot, various types of nuts, various sugars, a little spice drawer back here, some various oils and vinegars and sauces, soy sauce and such, variety of salts, garlic, onions, all of the basics, as well as in the refrigerator there's some cream and some butter and some lemons and limes and things like that. But the important thing to recognize here is that the birch syrup itself is obviously a very highly unusual ingredient. That's going to be very interesting to see what they do with it. The pork, it may be a fancy cut, but the truth is it's pork. It's not a fancy cut. Chef says it's not a fancy cut. So it's basic pork. So they've got one unusual ingredient, the syrup, birch syrup, some pork, and then plums. So what we're really seeing here, and then of course the pantry is the same pantry, same ingredients that any of you can pick up and save on. So the point I'm trying to make is that the ingredients, save for the birch syrup, are all very basic. And that allows the chef's creativity to, that's what puts the creativity on the line, because they're taking the same kind of ingredients that are available to any of us, but I promise you that what they're going to be presenting by the end of this hour is going to be anything but what we would be making on a regular Tuesday night. Now over here, Chef Chris, I didn't see him do this before, but I'm pretty confident that I can say he's taken some Parmesan cheese, grated it, melted it in a pan, and now he's putting it over this bowl, and as it hardens, it's going to form into the shape of a bowl, and he's going to be able to serve something in a Parmesan bowl. Very, very creative. Yes, here's the, if you can just take a look at this now, this is the bubbling cheese. Look, and with his asbestos fingers, he's pulling that cheese off the wax paper. Trying to pull the cheese off the wax paper. Not working out exactly as he had hoped. And you know what? That's what happens in these competitions. Things don't always work out the way you planned them to. There, he's got it going now. I think he's just created a new technique for himself too. And see, he puts that over the bowl, and as it hardens, it's going to take the shape of the bowl. I see plums in the saute pan, and over here, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pots on the stove. All sorts of things happening. Some of that pork has been boiled. We have some bacon in the pan. Some oil that's, I guess they're going to deep fry something here. So, Andy, there are several techniques and all sorts of different ingredients up here.
Bob, what we've really noticed now is that these guys, we've seen them in the preliminary round, but they seem to be stepping it up because their first dishes were amazing with their previous show, but I can see on both sides they just seem to be doing more complex, is that fair to say, more complex, more detailed dishes?
Absolutely. They realize that these are the semifinals. By the way, the finals will be tomorrow afternoon. One of these two teams will end up in the finals tomorrow afternoon. And so there's a lot riding on this. A lot of bragging rights, I think there might actually be a prize as well, but I don't think the chefs really care about that. I think it's the bragging rights that really matter here.
It's actually a pretty good prize, but I agree with you. I think right now it's I know I've spoken to some of the chefs and they just want to win this. I will also say there's a lot of camaraderie around the chefs and I think they really appreciate each other's skill, but don't kid yourself, these guys, like our hockey players on the Cougars, these guys are professionals and they want to win as well. Let's just go over the schedule for that. It's going to be Mark from North 54. He's our wild card spot. So the 3 teams that did not win their competition, their points were added up and tallied, and North 54, not surprisingly, were the top of the heap with that. So North 54 has made the semifinals. And the other final is the lady that won this morning. That's Wilma from the Ramada Hotel and her amazing cheering crew. And so it's going to be a pretty intense semifinal tomorrow. Then, 3 o'clock tomorrow is the finals, is the final. And that is going to be a full house, so we suggest you come early and grab a seat for that. And we're expecting some pretty spectacular dishes to come out of that.
So we're just down, we've got 20 minutes off, and that means there's 10 minutes left. Until we start until the first plates from Chef Chris's team have to be up on the judges' table. Let's talk about the scoring for just a minute. I'll just leave with this. There are 3 categories. There's the appetizer, 3 dishes: the appetizer, the entree, and the dessert. And for each dish, there are 3 categories. There's taste, there's presentation, and there's creativity. Taste is weighted out of 20 points. There are 10 points for taste, 5 for presentation, and 5 for creativity. Now, having done a show called Glutton for Punishment, in which I entered many competitions and surprised a lot of people by beating some of the pros, I know that half the battle is in recognizing that these 3 categories all count. In other words, if a chef makes a dish that wins hands down and gets 10 out of 10 points in the taste category, but doesn't consider his presentation and doesn't consider adding a creative element to his dish. It may just be like a traditional dish that he's just presented in its traditional form. He could be getting 10 out of 10 on the taste and 0 out of 5 and 0 out of 5 in the other 2 categories, or 1 out of 5. So it's really crucial that the chefs focus on all 3 categories. That's the only way you can end up winning at the end of this competition.
Bob, that's certainly a way the audience can participate in this show. Now, really, Shelley is the only one in the audience that's going to get to score on the taste. But I will be going around and polling some random audience members later, and we want you to be paying close attention to the video screens because there are 2 categories you absolutely can talk a little bit about. One of them, of course, is the appearance. What does it look like? Have they displayed the dishes nicely? Do they look attractive? Do they look appealing? And the other one is the originality. So another question I'm going to be asking some of you is, how would you use those different ingredients? If you had to use syrup for all 3 courses, how would you use birch syrup? So you'll be able to take a look at how they've been able to combine those ingredients and how original they were, and we definitely encourage you to take a look for that.
Andy, I was just noticing up here, one of the raviolis, one of the 5 raviolis the team had prepared had stuck to the bowl, and fortunately they were smart enough to prepare 5, but that's exactly why you do that, because if, you know, I was actually watching this out of the corner of my eye. They have these whole egg yolks in this ravioli, and they had the 5 raviolis right out on the table while they're doing all sorts of other things, bumping into each other, grabbing stuff, and I had an eye on that to see if one of those raviolis was going down.
So would this add huge pressure now if they've used up their spare?
Well, yeah, it would, I guess, because you know what? Anything could happen to the other ones. That egg yolk could break, the ravioli could, the skin could split in the water when they're boiling. And by the way, they're keeping an eye on the clock because they know that their dish, Chef Chris's dishes have to be up at exactly 30 minutes, and then theirs will be up when they're 32.5 minutes off the clock. But they have to back time it so that ravioli is cooked just before, and by doing that, that doesn't give them any wiggle room if something goes awry. Because a ravioli like that with an egg yolk in it will take about how long, Chef Ryan, to cook?
4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes. You know, I think he's done this before. 4.5 minutes. So he's got an eye on the clock, which right now has 9 minutes for him before his dish goes up to the judges. Can our cameraman get a look here at these bowls? These are the, there you go. These are the Parmesan bowls here. And you can see, and that is Parmesan cheese just shaved off a block of Parmesan and then melted. A whole block of Parmesan, Chef Chris adds. But isn't that amazing? The form, that's the same cheese you grate on your pasta, only now it's a bowl that Chef will be presenting his appetizer in. That's, by the way, what we talk about when we talk about creativity and presentation. He's nailing both of those categories. And, as we all know, Parmesan cheese in any form tastes delicious, so he's also working the taste category. Because just like with Willy Wonka, you can even eat the dishes when you're eating off a Parmesan bowl.
We only have about 2.5 minutes before we'll bring the judges up on the stage. Now the reason, again, that we had them on the floor is because one of the rules of this competition is that the pantry back there that Save on Foods has provided the foods for is a shared pantry. So the rules are that they can take an ingredient from the shelf, bring it up to the station, use it, but then they need to take it back to the station and let the other teams use it as well. So there's a huge amount of congestion and craziness back there. Pretty soon we'll take the judges up there, and that will just add one more layer of difficulty for the judges to dance around the judges and Bob and myself.
Andy, I'm watching the Twisted Cork team here, and these guys were testing a presentation, and they were putting down some roasted plums, and then they decided they didn't like the way that looked underneath the Parmesan basket or bowl. And so now they're changing their strategy. I don't know what they're going to do, but it was really interesting to watch them. They were doing something at the same time together, looking at each other, looking at the presentation, and then they went, And so they're going to rejig this now on the fly with only 4 minutes and 12 seconds left on the clock. Really, really interesting.
Not that we want to put more pressure on them, they're probably ignoring me anyway, which is good, but the teams here, each competition we found that there have been mistakes and problems and issues, and they're so professional they can cover it up. But if you watch really closely, if Bob doesn't catch it, and Bob is the professional, I'm less likely to catch it myself. But take a close eye, and every now and then you can see a little issue going on in a quick huddle, and they're so quick at recovering and making it better again. It's really impressive.
Right, the ravioli is in the water now. Chef Ryan's ravioli is in the water, and it looks gorgeous. Those egg yolks are going to be perfectly soft-boiled. Chef Chris is reducing his birch syrup, and it was very interesting. He took a piece of paper, a piece of parchment paper, and he was just spreading the birch syrup across it to see its thickness, and that was the way he was able to see how thick it was. And he said it wasn't thick enough, so he put it back on the fire for just a minute. Now he's doing the same thing again. He's going with it. I wonder if he's hoping, I think, that he might be able to pull it off the paper. Is that your intent, Chef?
Yeah, I don't want to leave it on the paper.
Yeah, but you know, I'm just saying, I'm not quite sure this is going to come off the paper. If it doesn't come off the paper, he has used his entire birch syrup reduction, though. The reduction that you have done to this point. You've used that all up, right?
No, we have some left.
Okay. Until this needs to be up at the judges' table. Chef Ryan, you have 4.5 minutes. Okay, Chef Ryan has warmed the bowls. So the bowls were warm from being on top of the oven, one of the two. But look at this, ravioli's coming out of the pan, and Chef Ryan is just touching them down on a towel to absorb the water so that it's not too watery.
"90 seconds, 90 seconds.
By the way, in the last few rounds, we were cutting the chefs a little bit of slack, but it's been determined that there is no leeway this time If the dish is not on the judges' table when it's supposed to be there, penalty points are deducted from their score. And now, wow, look at this. Chef Chris's. Wow. That is the longest piece of carrot I have ever seen. This is a Japanese mandolin. And as you can see, he's created this, well, I guess these are the leftover bits. Okay, so Chef Chris, if I can just get in your face for 1 second, if you can describe for the audience and for the judges what you've prepared.
So for our appetizer, we made a Parmesan crisp for the base, for the structure of the salad. And then we made a birch syrup vinaigrette. And then we roasted and glazed off some pears. Or some plums, and that's our salad.
Looks delicious and beautifully presented.
White Goose Bistro now has just 2.5 minutes to get theirs ready. Our judges will sample the food and I'm going to ask one of our judges really quickly here. I'm going to pick Shelley. Shelley, just after she took a mouthful. Shelley, this is, again, you've just gone from watching to now judging. What's your first impression when you saw the first dish? Are you surprised, or is it what you were expecting?
I wasn't. I mean, like I said, I've been at all the shows up to this point, so I mean, it's all been a very high quality and very great presentation, so it's kind of on par with what I've seen from there, but it's certainly different to be able to taste it.
Shelley's brought up a great point in that all of the competitions so far have been unbelievably close. The scoring has actually taken longer than we wanted it to in each and every time because the scores have been so unbelievably close. Again, the judges are looking for incredibly fine detail, and it's not just about the taste, it's also about the appearance and the originality.
All right, we're down to 30 seconds of Chef Ryan's dish, and then we're bringing them up to the judges here. And I'm going to let Chef Ryan describe this to you. Chef Ryan, so have you explained to the audience and the judges what they're eating?
Homemade ravioli, cottage cheese, fresh egg yolk, blanch it just long enough to partially cook the egg yolk, topped with bacon, caramelized sage, and rosemary. And Parmesan cheese, and then touch this in with the butter.
Nice, very nice.
I want to point something out to you that makes a huge difference to these professional chefs. And again, these are unsung heroes, but you'll see some young people back there with red shirts on. These are actually the make or breakers for the chefs because they go through so many pots and so many utensils that they continually have the stream of dirty dishes going to the sinks. These people are cleaning the dishes incredibly quickly and then giving them back so they can keep recycling through the pots and pans. So let's have a hand for our helpers back there. The unsung heroes, Brett, Dawson, Christy, and Sierra. judges look as if they're having kind of fun, don't you think?
Has to serve up his dessert. And 14 and a half minutes until Chef Ryan does.
One of the standard pantry items that's been happening at most of the shows is the Barkerville Brewing Company has also been supplying a lot of product. And today the chefs were given the choice, and I'm not sure if they have used it or if they will be using it, but all the chefs were given the choice of using Hound of Barkerville Brown Ale from the Barkerville Brewing Company. So we want to thank them very much for their support of this event. And I think I already mentioned this, just in case I forgot, Four Oaks, yeah, I did mention it, but it's the oil and vinegar company. You haven't been there, by the way. I have nothing to do with the company, but you really need to go to their store. It's unbelievable if you like cooking. Super high quality olive oils and balsamic vinegars. But they have donated the birch syrup that was used in the competition tonight, and they're welcoming you to go after the show and give it a sample yourself. I tried it myself, it's pretty interesting.
I need to explain something to you, because when Chef Ryan just blew through that description, and he was saying, oh, I made some rice, I took the pork and I added a little bit of the syrup and stuff. I just tasted that. That's like the best Chinese spare rib you've ever tasted in your life. And the rice was so delicate and had a beautiful, I got a lot of lemon in that. Chef, did you get lemon in that rice? Chef Christian? Some lemon in that rice? Yeah, and it was so delicate and so flavorful, and the combination of those two things was amazing. So I know that the judges are going to recognize that, but I just had to tell you that he was so underselling it. So underselling it. All right, so Chef Chris, what's happening over here? Just tell me what's happening with this chocolate that has just gone through the pasta press.
So we're making a chocolate fettuccine Alfredo. And we're taking the chocolate plastique that was our secret ingredient that we were allowed to bring. And we're going to put it through the fettuccine press. We're going to make fettuccine noodles, so to speak. And then we made a creme anglaise again, and we added some birch syrup to that. And it's a knockoff of the fettuccine Alfredo.
Except it's your dessert. And just tell us the chocolate. What exactly is the chocolate? Is it just chocolate?
No, it's a chocolate plastique. Is what you.
I don't know what chocolate plastique is. I'm guessing you all do, and I'm the only one here who doesn't know. But does anyone in the room know what chocolate plastique is? One fancy pants chef over here. So for the rest of everybody in the room here, chef, what is chocolate plastique? Sounds like a band, actually.
It's the right ratio of really good chocolate and corn syrup.
Oh, and you brought that as a finished product, ingredient. Okay, lovely. So they're making fettuccine out of that, and that's going to be this dish. That's going to be amazing. And Chef Ryan, what are you doing here? You've got a water bath, and you're whipping up something. What is that?
Yeah, we got this under control, no big deal. Just got 100 people watching us, and we're about to be judged. But they're so under control right now, they're just kind of chilling out, talking to each other. Give us a little stir.
Andy, I want to point out one thing here. That's the birch syrup, folks. Sorry, it is my job. But you know what? You don't try, you don't get anywhere. And these chefs have enough confidence that Chef Chris is already working on another idea, and he just whispered to me, if this one doesn't work, it's okay, because it's just one extra little layer in his dessert. Because keep in mind, I mean, these guys have already made chocolate fettuccine. I mean, you had me at chocolate fettuccine. I don't care what it's on or what's on it. It still sounds pretty awesome. So 3 minutes left on the clock. 3 minutes, Chef Chris. Have I mentioned how lucky you guys are here in Prince George to have two restaurants like this? Now these are 2 of 8 that we've had in this competition. or roughly 8. And I know there's a lot more great restaurants in town that are not participating in this. That is pretty fabulous. And as I said a little bit earlier, I would be thrilled to be served either of these 2 meals anywhere in the world. So I think you guys are pretty lucky. Not to mention what a beautiful town this is, and just the great outdoors here. It's a great place, and I was invited here to do my thing on stage, but I'm going to go back as your new ambassador, Prince George. So thank you for inviting me up here, Dave, and everybody else in town who might have voted for me, in case Dave was saying, that guy, Blumer, we don't want him up here. Someone must have twisted his arm, and whoever that someone was, I thank you.
Bob, you left a story there without an ending. How many pancakes can a person flip in an hour?
A person can flip flapjacks. The answer is 559, if I'm not mistaken. That was so ladled out because you couldn't use one of those sort of whatever donut type things. 750 this morning.
Me, my mom, and my dad came this morning. 350 people, so it's about 800 pancakes.
And how many? And how long?
1 hour. We had 2 big ones.
Hour and a half with 3 people. Okay, so hour and a half, 800 divided by an hour and a half divided by 3 people.
You kicked butt, Bob.
I didn't want to be the person to have to say that, but anyways, it was good fun.
It looks as if the desserts are going, so let's
we've got. Wow, that was pretty amazing. So we're going to give the judges a couple of minutes to taste this dessert, and then they're going to tabulate their scores. And within the next 7 or 8 minutes, we will know which of these 2 teams moves on to the final round of Iron Ore Chef Prince George.
I want to give one more shout out. I can't believe how hard the crew back there is working. They not only have been working really hard during this show, but Bob, they're working all day long from morning till night.
It's non-stop.
So thanks very much again to the people doing the dishes, Brett and Dawson, Christy and Sierra, and our judge back there, Andrea. Unbelievable work back there. The only rewards they're getting really is after the judges are finished with their dishes, they take the dirty dish back there.
No, hold on. After the judges are finished with the dishes, and then the hosts get their grubby hands and forks on it, then it goes to them.
They go back and it's so good, and then they have to start washing dishes crazy.
So big ups for Andrea and Kaylin, who've both been working the whole stage and getting all the prep ready, resetting, and that's also just non-stop.
And my understanding is that they have not had a break. They come here in the morning and start working, and they don't get any break whatsoever because they're so busy cleaning up the one show and then immediately preparing the next show. So let's have a big hand for them.
Yeah, sorry. Whoops. Chef Ryan. I forgot. I was so excited by all of this that I forgot to ask you to explain your dish to the judges and to the audience.
Traditional Italian is my own.
Okay, already I'm just going to stop him right there. There ain't nothing traditional in anything he's doing here. Okay.
Just a pot custard. So just a custard made, birch, maple, roasted plums at the bottom, and then it'll have seed to make it healthy.
Okay, I have a question for Chef Ryan. If I take hemp seed and I sprinkle it on poutine, does that make the poutine healthy?
More healthy.
It's magic dust. Chef Chris, can I get you to introduce your sous chef to us? Tell us a little bit about him.
This is my good friend Kelly McKenzie. I've known Kelly for probably 14 years now. He's an executive chef himself in Jasper, and I've worked with Kelly for many, many years. And actually, one of my he taught me a lot growing up. So, Kelly McKenzie, everybody.
Hang on, so you parachuted in a ringer here? Is that what you're telling us, Chris?
No, we own the restaurant together. He works out of town.
Got it. Well, hey, you know, all's fair in love, war, and chef cook-offs. I mean, nobody said that the sous chefs had to be newbies right out of cooking school. So, all the power to both of you guys. And Chef Ryan, will you introduce your two sous chefs to us, please?
This is Sammy. Just recently joined my team about a month ago, but the rest of the company so far. And once again, my sister.
Hang on, are you going to settle for, oh yeah, and my sister?
I'm his little sister. It's always been that way. Can you tell her?
Well, you guys did an awesome job. That was about the best rice I've ever tasted in my life. Sweet. As I mentioned, I would hate to be sitting in the judge's chair right now because this is going to be a really tough one, and I'm very sincere about that.
Bob, one of our judges has been Mr. Billy Barker himself. And Billy, first of all, compared to beans and bacon that you're used to, what was this experience like for you?
A religious experience. I am moved. I'm now going to go join his church over the way he teaches. And yeah, it's fine.
You say the Church of Overweighty?
Yes, exactly. Everything he does, I want to learn. It's marvelous.
Why don't you give us a little plug about Barkerville? First of all, how many people with a show of hands have been to Barkerville recently? That's fantastic.
No, now it's time for you to come back. This year there's a whole new slew of programming happening. And come and make sure you see us, especially at the end of August on Labor Day.
Heartbreaking.
Bob, I wonder, being a pro yourself, I wonder for those of us watching that love cooking but would never be caught dead cooking in a competition like this in front of people.
Or you would be dead of a heart attack halfway through the competition, yes?
What advice can you give us amateur cooks that might be intimidated by the level of professionalism? I have my standard go-to dishes. I might be a little intimidated sometimes to try something new. Do you have any words of advice in terms of how to approaching a new dish?
I totally do. I'll tell you, it doesn't matter where you are in the cooking chain, the food chain, your level of confidence. We all have our comfort zones, we all have our go-to dishes that we make for ourselves or our family or whatever. But I always suggest that you find yourself a cookbook, be it a Jamie Oliver, Nigella Lawson, the chefs who are more driven by combining ingredients as opposed to using all sorts of fancy techniques. You find, pick yourself one new recipe, make it for yourself one night, test it out, get comfortable with it, and when you're ready to add that to your repertoire, make it for some friends, and then when you're comfortable with that recipe, find yourself another recipe and do the same thing. Or maybe devise it around an ingredient that might be seasonal that you say if you happen to like asparagus or like peaches or whatever, and go from there and just slowly expand your repertoire. And at the same time, just wait till you're confident with that before you share with your friends and before you move on. But you sort of inch up the ladder baby step-wise. Before you know it, you've doubled your repertoire.
Looks as if we may have an announcement to make.
Okay, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to start. Can I have the two teams up here, please? This is killing me. So I'm going to start by reading you the scores. So this is out of a total of 100. One score is 86.33. The other score is 85.66.
Jesus.
So that is 0.67, is that right? Am I right? 0.67. A half a percentage point. And I was just told that two of the judges were tied, had a dead heat tie between the two teams. So it cannot get any closer. And again, I feel really terrible that I'm going to have to mention one name here, but at the same time, incredibly proud because it's so great to be part of this whole competition. Should I go on and on, or should I just say the name? Okay, well, by 0.64 of 1 percentage point, and going on to the Iron Ore Chef, Prince George Finals, is Chef Ryan.
Yeah!
Hey! I'm sorry. Could not have been any closer.
Wow, it sucked to lose.